Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie Strobel. I'm the Director of Product Experience here at Ad Astra. And thanks for joining me for our session on schedule planning with Align and Monitor. Before we get started, I think it's important for us to take a step back and remind ourselves, why are we doing what we do? Here at Ad Astra, graduating more students faster is our North Star. Everything we do, every decision we make, every product improvement or service we offer all ties back to this core mission. Is going through the effort of building this, of offering this, does it help you uh, graduate students and do it faster? Are they able to reach their credential on time? Are they able to get out in the market and start realizing the value of their credential faster? Really, at its core, we want to help those students achieve their goals and their dreams for themselves and their family. And I always think it's important before we talk about anything to make sure that is at the forefront of what um, of the forefront of everyone's mind when we talk about the things that we do and why we do it. I know here internally, this is, like I mentioned, it's the North Star. It's what we measure everything by. So how do we, as a company, plan to deliver on that mission? Well, it's no secret. At Ad Astra, we believe the best way to do that is to build student-centered schedules. So, put the student at the very middle of every planning decision, the implementation of that plan. Right? We want to make sure that the schedules that we build reduce bottlenecks, make sure the students get the courses they need when they need them, and they're able to navigate your course catalog to their credential in a timely fashion again, so that they can get out there into the market, performing the job that they've been trained to do with their credential, so that they can reach their dreams. And the way that we choose to help you plan the right schedule to offer is with these academic planning tools, right? We have Align. We have Align with Predict, and Predict is a module that you can add to Align. And we have Monitor. If you think about these things in the planning cycle, Align and Aligned with Predict sit at the forefront of planning upcoming terms for your students. And Monitor sits at the back end when students are registering, allows you to monitor the registration cycle as it's happening, to make sure that you can pivot your schedule uh, in ways that it needs, so that you can better meet demand in real time as these students are choosing the course or the sections to take of your courses. So I'd like to jump into each one of these and talk about some of the key capabilities of each. Now, Align, what it's geared toward, diving into Align first, it's geared toward improving the schedule planning process, right? And we do that by infusing data and bringing you together as a collection of peers to collaborate in a course scheduling tool, which helps you then focus on making the changes you need to make to provide the courses that your students need, okay? And the way we do that is we allow you to focus on courses that are relevant to an individual person or even a whole department, okay? Align has what we call advanced filtering in it, which allows you to tailor your views within the product to the things that you care about, right? For us, it's really, really important. The product itself can focus on the entire schedule if needed. And when I say focus on the entire schedule, I mean focus on the entire schedule of top candidates for change. That's what we're looking at here in the screenshot. Is these are the top candidates that we feel that, through our analytics, we think have an opportunity to improve from a schedule perspective. So you can look at the entire schedule that way, or you can drill down to a specific department. As you can see here, I've drilled down in this view to the arts courses, right? So I might be a dean of the program and I want to see all of the arts courses, or I might be a faculty member and I want to see the 3 courses that I teach. So you can do all that here. You can filter down to the things that are important to an entire department or the entire university, or even to a particular user. And we think that's very important. So we're also kicking up these recommendations, right? So with Align, the recommendations are based on historical data. So we're monitoring historical trends term over term to see, you know, based on historical data, we believe that this course might need a new section, might need to reduce a section, right? And we're making those recommendations and surfacing those for you right up front. And what you're able to do then is review those recommendations, drill into the data, and decide, are is this a recommendation that we want to make now? Does it fit into our plan? And then you're able to update the status of that, which is really important, so that everybody who's involved in the schedule planning process understands the decisions that are being made for those particular courses. And for us, the thing that we are trying to support in these new products that's so critical is being a tool that allows you to bring the conversation and communication about the decisions you're making into one place. We all know that folks are using all the standard communication tools that they have, in their tool belt to do this job, right? Whether that's email, whether that's text messaging, whether that's literally getting up and walking across campus to talk to somebody in person, and all of those things are awesome. But one thing that happens when people are using all different types of communication is those conversations are isolated and get lost over time, and the record of what happens and why decisions were made can fall by the wayside. So what we're doing is we're giving you the mechanism to collaborate around these changes directly in the app, and it will preserve those over time. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. And lastly, as I mentioned before, um, Align provides the ability for you to schedule those updates, right? So as you decide, we want to take Arts 1301 from 5 sections to 7 sections, for example. You can change the planned value there from 5 to 7, and you can mark that as reviewed. You want to tell your peers, hey, we've reviewed this and we think this is a good change to make. And as you do that, you can also mention your peers to say, hey, as a leadership team, we think we need to invest more here. Uh, and you can route that change to folks in the department, and they can look at it to verify, yes, this is a good change. We've got the resources to do it, et cetera, and they can mark that approved, right? So the beauty of the decision-making tools here is they are not prescriptive, right? And that's an important thing for us. These tools should work within your processes. So as you are making those decisions, and you are involving the right people that you need to involve, and you have your own processes in place to do that, the way that this works is not prescriptive. You can match your processes to how this works, and the simple way to do that is just to involve the people along the way that you feel need to be involved in the decision making process. So let's talk a little bit about layering Predict onto Align. So Predict is focused on layering in student pathway progress into the historical course enrollment trends, so that you can ensure that you're offering the right number of sections to meet the students' needs, right? So think about it like we are taking all your historical data about your section enrollments, and we're layering in predictive student data based on their pathway progress to make these recommendations smarter and more focused on the individual students. So some key capabilities of Align with Predict. So like I mentioned before, Align with Predict is entirely focused on layering in the student's view of the world into the Align product, right? So we're doing things like modeling student populations, right? As you get into the product, you would see that we've modeled new students and transfer students and departing students. So our predictions are more accurate regarding the forecasting of how many new students are we going to have, how many transfer students are we going to have, or departing, etc. We're layering that in, so that when we are making these predictions about the upcoming terms, you're able to take that data into account and say, Ad Astra is saying or imagining here, forecasting here, that we're going to have this many transfer students or new students, and we need to take that to account to make sure that we've got enough capacity to take on those new students and make sure that we have offered the courses that they're going to need as we move forward. Part of what makes that possible is ensuring that you have visibility into these students' progress towards completing their pathway. And you can see that there on the left in the screenshot. This is a particular student, and here's their pathway, and you can see if they've met that credential, which courses they had taken to meet that credential, et cetera, et cetera. You can go through the whole thing and get a you can get a clear picture of where they're at and why they're there and where they've stalled out. And then once you have that data, you can drill in to really understand why, right? And that's the most important thing. We're trying to tease this data out in such a way that it allows you to recognize challenges and allow you to focus in that area so that you can go and make those critical changes that you need to ensure that the students who follow this student don't run into the same bottlenecks. So with this data, we're enhancing, as I mentioned, the recommendations we make in Align, okay? The important thing to understand there is when those recommendations are made, we have a balancing mechanism within the product. So you can decide, how much do I want to rely on historical data versus how much do I want to rely on predict data? You can tailor that for your particular school, right? So you can say, we want the recommendation to be more weighted to predict and to forecasting than we want it to be weighted to historical trending. So you have that, you have your hands on the scale, so to speak. So you can make that match what works best for you. That's customizable. And again, layering in this data is so critically important to provide the insights that you need to make the decisions, right? At its core, what we're talking about is acting on these recommendations. And when you layer in predict and all the student data and their student history and their pathway and the risk of student conflict, all of those things that get layered in with predict, they're just data points to helping you decide, is this the right change that we need to make to the course to satisfy the recommendation that Ad Astra has provided us? And layering in all that stuff, we believe, paints a much clearer picture of, you know, where you should be navigating your changes as you prepare for an upcoming term. And lastly, as you're probably aware, we have recommendations in Align for adding sections. We have recommendations for reducing the sections. We're also adding a recommendation for time change candidates, right? So we have addition candidates, we have reduction candidates, but now we have time change candidates. And time change candidates are, for us, really, really exciting. When you're browsing your list of top candidates in Align, once you've layered on the predict data, you might see a candidate up there that's got a clock on it, right? And that candidate is basically telling you, you know, we think you're offering the right amount of sections to meet capacity. The problem is, we think those sections might be offered at the wrong time. So you might have students who have a required course that they need to take, and maybe it offers one section of that required course that they can get access to. And that section directly competes with the course that they're trying to take, that you're planning for. So what we're doing is we're showing that there's a risk that the students that need to take this course won't be able to take it, not because you're not offering enough sections or you're offering too many, but because those sections are offered at a time that conflict with other sections that are required for them. So we're bubbling that up so that you can see that this section here doesn't need addition or subtraction of sections overall. We just might need to adjust the times of those sections to better meet the students' needs. Now, as I mentioned before, Align and Predict sit at the front of the process, but Monitor sits at the back end. It allows you the visibility you need into the enrollment of the courses that you have, right? So you went through this planning phase, you made all these changes. Monitor allows you to essentially validate those changes, right? So as students are enrolling for their courses, you can log in and get notified of how they're filling, right? Are they filling too quickly? Are they struggling to fill at all? It allows you to have that data in real time so that you can make those scheduling changes during registration that are so critical to making sure that students aren't left without a course that they need. So let's talk a little bit about Monitor specifically. Monitor at its core allows you to track how quickly courses are filling, right? It allows you to measure those registrations as they come in, and we're doing that by providing clear visualizations into the courses that are the that show you how quickly they're filling, but show you how they're filling at all, show you whether they're filling slower or faster than maybe they had before. And that's a really critical thing to understand, right? As you're making these decisions, it's important to be able to see all of this data in the aggregate, see how are the courses across my department filling, but also be able to see some of those targeted courses that are filling too quickly, the courses that are filling too slow, courses that have reached a high enrollment ratio, courses that are lagging behind. And we're trying to bubble those up for you so that you can act on those courses that are the outliers, courses that may need attention during registration so that you can meet the demand, right? So we're monitoring the thresholds of those enrollments. And these are courses that fall under a low enrollment threshold and courses that fall above a high enrollment threshold. And we'll do things like notify you that this is happening. You can choose to follow courses that you have purview over, so you get those targeted notifications. Hey, this course has reached high enrollment, and you might need to address that. And then we will bring everybody into the conversation again with collaboration. So one point I want to make here before we move on is all the conversation that happened during the planning process in Align and Align with Predict, all of that conversation is stored with the course. So as you move forward in time into registration, all of the decisions that were discussed and made during the planning process are now available during the registration process. So you can open up a course and you can scroll down to that conversation and you can see, why did we make the decisions that we made, right? And that's critically important, as like during registration, you may have chosen explicitly not to invest more. You know that this course is going to fill up, but we're not going to invest more in adding sections to this. Or there might be a comment in there that says, we think we might need to add one more section later, right? And so you can act on that and you can see the thinking as the schedule was planned right there in the app. So as you're making those decisions, you can react to the history of that conversation right then and there. It's all tracked in one place. So the most important thing that we believe we can offer is a holistic planning experience by bringing all of these products together into one tool set, right? So with Align with Predict, and Monitor, we're able to create a holistic planning experience that we think will best equip you to meeting student demands. So as I mentioned before, with Align and Monitor, or I'm sorry, with Align and Align with Predict, you're able to effectively plan the schedule that you need to make. And as you move forward in time, you're able to validate that schedule with Monitor, right? So these are very targeted experiences based on the job that's being done at the time, all right? So Align is based on the planning process. Monitor is based on monitoring registration. And the interface, as you can see, it's tailored to that experience. So in Monitor, what we're doing is we're highlighting the information that's most critical right now, right? So we are monitoring registration, and you can see here's the course list that I have. Here are the courses that I'm following. You can see the notification bell on the left. You can see how quickly are they filling with or how full are they with their enrollment ratio. You can sort by all those things. You can export that data if you need to. We're trying to provide the ideal experience for monitoring registration. And likewise, early on in the planning process, we're trying to provide the best experience for that. But putting them together allows you to stay engaged with that schedule and those changes throughout the entire process. So in summation of that idea, what we're trying to encourage is taking a proactive approach to scheduling, okay? We want the folks who are doing the planning to have the data they need to make those proactive changes. And we want the folks that are monitoring registration to be able to take a proactive approach to solving the problems as they come up during the registration process. It's critically important that you have those tools and that data at your fingertips to make those changes in a proactive way, and not before things fall over for the students and you find out that we're behind here, we're behind there. We want you to be able to do that proactively, and we believe that this tool set will help you do that. And again, this is an example of how everyone can collaborate in one place, right? So I'm looking at Arts 1303. I can see that, the first comment there was made in a line, but I'm looking at this course in Monitor. So in Monitor, I'm able to see all the changes that have happened historically, and I'm able to properly monitor, no pun intended, the conversation that was going on during the planning process. So I might say back, once I'm in Monitor, I know we planned for there to be 3 sections of this course, but based on enrollments, I think we need to move to 4. And the cool thing is you'll know who was involved in the planning process, right? Because you can see all that through the comment history. And the nice thing is you can mention those folks. So right here, I'm mentioning Caleb, and I can respond to the plan, right? In Monitor, I can say, hey, Caleb, I know we planned on this. I think we should plan to add a section. What do you think, right? And you can bring that person back, and they're going to get a little notification that says, hey, you were mentioned on this course. Right there in your email. You can click right in there and you can get engaged in the conversation, right? And all of this data is updated regularly. So this is a very, you're able to make these changes as your students need them, right? This isn't like we're going to do this once and then come back around in 2 months and monitor how we're doing. This is happening on a daily basis, right? These changes, you're getting new data, you're able to react to that, and you're able to communicate with your peers about it. It's very cool. And much like you're able to track comments, you're also able to track the change history, right? So as you can see here, I'm able to see all the different steps that have happened during the planning process. I'm able to see that this course was changed, the status was changed, and I'm able to see the section count during that change. I'm able to monitor what our plan was during the planning process, right? And I'm able to track all of those changes in the status going throughout time. So as I'm making decisions or I'm having a conversation, I never lose the context in which those conversations are happening, right? I never lose the notion that, oh, they were deciding this as it was being approved, or they were deciding this as it was being scheduled. It's all going to be right there as you go back through history. Also, the interesting thing, when you're looking at this stuff, we've provided the ability for you to easily filter out either comments or system messages. You can decide what you care about in the moment. So if you only want to see system messages from us about status updates, you can click right there on the tag, and it will filter out everything else. So you can see very clearly that the status changes throughout time. And as I mentioned before, we provide the ability to export your data. Part of designing persona-based experiences, which is what these are, right? These are experiences targeted to solving problems for an individual user type. One of the challenges that presents is we're trying to design an experience that best fits a particular job. What we know is that you guys use this data in so many different and interesting ways. And what we felt was necessary was to add the ability to export this data so that you can go use it in ways that we never thought of or we never intended, right? So as you navigate through these courses, you can filter down to the courses that mean something to you, or you can look at this globally and you can hit export, and it will pull all of the data from these views directly out of the system and offer it to you in a CSV format for you to use it however you wish. And lastly, for those of you who are familiar with the system, you know that we have a helpful friend in the bottom right-hand corner. We affectionately call that friend Astrobot. Astrobot is there to give you quick access to our knowledge base. It gives you quick access to submit support tickets and provide feedback to the product team and to the engineering teams. And it also provides access to our tutorials that we have available. So anytime that you're using the product, if you have a question or you want to provide feedback to us, jump into Astrobot and do that, right? Do that directly. One really cool thing that Astrobot does is based on where you're at in the system, it literally will read the screen that you're looking at, and it will pre-search our knowledge base for articles that best match that screen. So you can see I'm looking at the home screen in a line on the left, and Astrobot has pre-searched, and it's found articles on Align overview, how to use Align, how to use Align with Predict. It's pre-searching that knowledge base for articles that are most applicable to the problem that you're trying to solve and the screen that you're looking at. It also will stack rank those articles to the ones that are most common. So it's going to pre-filter those, and it's also going to present the articles to the top that most people use to get their answers. So it's a really, really cool addition that we're really proud of. And of course, you know, as a product person and someone who helps, or my team helps design and build these things, like, we can't thank you enough for your feedback. We get messages from you all the time through Astrobot, and we so rely on it. It makes such a difference for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So so far we've talked about what we have. Now I'd like to take a look forward to what we're going to be investing in as we move forward for these particular experiences. We're going to be doing enhanced reporting. Now, what I mean by that is right now you have the ability to export your data and go do reporting however you wish with your own tools. You'll be able to do that in our system as well very soon. We are going to be building an infrastructure which takes all the data from our core data warehouse and our services, and we're going to be providing it to reporting tools so that you have a much more robust reporting experience going forward, and we're really, really thrilled about that. We're also going to be investing in registration modeling, right? So you're able to monitor how students might register, not only for an upcoming term, but maybe for a year. You'll be able to start answering the questions. If my students get on this pathway, are they going to be able to graduate in 4 years, right? I mean, these are critical questions that we need to be answering to ensure that we're providing students the tools they need to get their credential and get out into the real world. So not only will you be able to plan for an upcoming term, but you'll be able to say, with this plan, how successful is it? How successful is it for the students in the next fall semester? But will it be successful the following semester and the semester after that? And then lastly, something we are thrilled to be able to talk to you about this Aspire is Align with Schedule. So like Align with Predict, Align with Schedule will be a schedule module added to Align. And effectively what that will do is that will allow you to do some schedule implementation right in the planning process, right? So we're going to be bringing calendars to Align, so you can do those core scheduling feature or core scheduling tasks that you need to do to make sure, do I have the resources to provide an additional section? Do I have the faculty? Do I have the space? You'll be able to measure, do I have the time to do that, right? Will our schedule allow for the right times to make this fit? We want to make sure that you're equipped not only to plan the schedule, but you understand, do we have the resources to do it while you're planning, and then be able to make those changes right there in the system and have those sync back to your sys. So we're very, very excited about that. So like all sessions, if you have feedback or questions about the session that, about this session, you can go out to our community and search for the topic Aspire 2020 sessions. Underneath that topic, there'll be a post in there about this particular session. Add your comments out there, add your questions out there. We will all be participating in the feedback there. So if you have a question, make sure to post it. We'll respond to it. That's where we want to have the conversation about these topics. So we're excited to engage with you out there in the community. Like I said, search for Aspire 2020 sessions, and then there'll be a post for schedule planning with Align and Monitor. And lastly, I want to depart with some takeaways and action items, right? So here at Aspire, we have a virtual demo kiosk. Last year, if you were able to join us, we had the in-person kiosks up on the 3rd floor. It was fantastic. We got to share the new and upcoming products with you. You got to get your hands on them and provide feedback and ideas. And it was super energizing to us and the team. And we're going to be doing that again this year virtually. So make sure to jump into our virtual demos. You'll be able to get your hands on the products and play around and experience them, provide feedback to us that, as I've mentioned, that we so depend on to make sure that we're delivering the right stuff to you guys. And you can also hear more from the product team, and we have a session on Your Feedback Matters. That's a session geared toward explaining how we gather your feedback and what we do with it and why it's so critical for us. And we're also going to preview Align with Schedule. This is a session talking about our plans to bring schedule features into the new system. And we're going to talk about some of the critical things there and why we're starting where we're starting and what we're doing. And of course, all of us are here if you want to get a demo of Align with Predict and Monitor. We'd love to share that with you. We'd love to talk about your specific needs and how these tools might be able to help solve some of those problems. So reach out to us. We'd love to share that with you. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Again, my name is Charlie Strobel. I'm the Director of Product Experience here at Astra. You can see my email there. Please, please, please feel free to reach out to me directly. This will be my 4th Aspire. I've absolutely loved year over year to get to see you folks and to get to chat with you and hear all the stories that have happened from one Aspire to the next. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to hear those stories, even virtually. Let's get on a call. Let's chat. Let's talk about these things. You guys, you have a very, very important mission ahead of you to help these students get the credentials that they need and get out in the real world. And the more feedback that you provide us, the better we can help you do that. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to talk to you. All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'll say goodbye for now.